Okay, so um, my lesson is Anne Frank and the Secret Annex. This is a pre-reading activity that would then move into the reading of the Diary of Anne Frank. So my teacher's problem was that students were not interested in their reading assignments or the pre-reading activities because they were too boring and not interactive enough. So the subject is English Language Arts. The grade is 6th grade. The technology I chose for this, first a WebQuest, because instead of an article for the pre-reading activity, I decided to incorporate a WebQuest to make it fun. WebQuest helps students learn how to interact with web pages, how to navigate them, and it makes it more fun for students to digest information and fill out the provided worksheet. I did get this specific one from Keeping It Real Curriculum for free on Teacher Pay Teacher, but it's a great web quest. The next part of this lesson contains a digital scavenger hunt from annefrank.org. This interactive scavenger hunt makes it more enjoyable because students get to do it as a group and use the interactive whiteboard at the front of the room. And finally, the students would answer the question on a discussion board. The question would be, what is the historical significance of Anne Frank's life and story? Using a Padlet like this, students can answer that question first, using the background knowledge that they just learned through these two activities, and reply to two of their peers' discussion posts. But then we can revisit this discussion as we're reading the Diary of Anne Frank. So we get to incorporate this technology throughout this whole unit, and students can see how much they've learned. On this discussion board, they could ask more questions if they still are not understanding things or want to know more, and see if they got those questions answered as they read the Diary of Anne Frank. Okay, so next. Students would come into class and they would find the link to the web quest over Anne Frank and the Secret Annex on their Google Classroom. They'll begin working on this web quest either in groups or as individuals. It would be completely up to them. It is quite a long web quest, so breaking it up into groups would be helpful, but I would leave that up to the student's choice for how they're comfortable working. So the students would first click on the link to annefrank.org that's provided on the Google Classroom web quest link. I would instruct them to explore the website by clicking through the various pages and tabs, get familiar with the website that they're going to be using for the majority of this lesson. Then they're going to answer the questions that are on the web quest sheet. As a teacher, I would be monitoring the students, answering any questions, and just making sure everything's working correctly, troubleshooting any issues. And this part of the lesson should take between 30 to 45 minutes. Students will be typing their answers on the WebQuest worksheet right there in Google Classroom. Then students will check their answers by comparing with another group. This WebQuest is going to be a completion grade because it is a pre-reading activity. I'm not going to be too critical on their answers, but I do want to make sure that they complete it, so I will be checking for the completion at the end of this lesson. Once students have completed the WebQuest and checked their answers, I, the teacher, would pull up the interactive digital lesson from annefrank.org onto the interactive whiteboard, and we as a class would begin going through it. There will be videos and like film clips that they'll watch to start this lesson. There's like 22 slides on this digital scavenger hunt. So it takes them through the Secret Annex and has them ask different questions and come up with different thoughts about it as they're going through, and getting to look at these images, clicking to see them up higher. So on the next slide, students will activate their prior knowledge by creating a word web with words that come to mind when they think about the Secret Annex. So from the web quest that they just completed, they'll have some more background knowledge. And so I think this is the third or fourth slide of the interactive scavenger hunt. Students create this word web on the interactive whiteboard. And then there will be another video, and as the class goes through the slides, they'll be asked to connect the pictures and the descriptions. So as they're watching the video, the next slide would be a list of descriptions and pictures, and so students would be asked to connect those all together as a class using the whiteboard. They can enlarge the pictures by clicking on them, again using the interactive whiteboard. Slide 8 would be another video, and then on slide 9, students will match the description from Anne Frank's writings to each of the rooms. The next few slides, the students will be asked what they see, what they think, and what questions they still have. And they'll write these questions down as they go through the next few slides as they're seeing new pictures of the secret annex and the different ways that the people with Anne Frank lived. Slide 15 is another video. The next slide has students discuss their answers to the previous slides. Then students will be tasked with writing out their thoughts on the Padlet and answer the question, what is the historical significance of Anne Frank's story/life? This lesson plan follows Arkansas ELA 6th grade curriculum, 6W13R, conduct research to answer questions. So that's through the web quest and then the interactive scavenger hunt. And then they also demonstrate reading comprehension of age and grade appropriate text by speaking or writing. That's 6.RC.4.RF. They have to read the text on the web pages and on the interactive whiteboard, and it's all grade appropriate. And then on the Padlet is where they would show their reading comprehension by writing out their opinions on what they had just read. This again is just me writing out the curriculum. Students will have conducted a guided research on Anne Frank through the web quest and digital lesson in order for them to answer the question, what is the historical significance of Anne Frank's story and life? For the assessment, I'll use a rubric, which is on another slide, to grade the students' discussion on Padlet. I will check for completion of the web quest, and I'll take note of the students' participation of the digital scavenger hunt to assess the students' understanding. Students must have all of the sections of the web quest completed, in order to get all 10 points from the web quest section. And then this here is the rubric. The rubric will be based on the students adding their own answer to the research question on Padlet and replying to 2 other students in the discussion board. So because this is 6th grade, this is a pretty simple rubric because they're just getting to know how rubric and project-based learning is going. So they're going to be graded on a 1, not there yet, a 2, almost there, and a 3, you got it. And they will have the answering the research question, they gave details and displayed understanding, and then commented on 2 other students' posts. Again, with this being a pre-reading activity, I didn't want to grade too harshly. It's mostly just to get the students engaged and to have them think of it as a fun, engaging activity. Again, because the teacher's problem wasn't that they couldn't do their work, but it was because they were just bored and not really interested in participation in the pre-reading assignments. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much.